Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Christopher Hall Show. I'm excited to welcome Dr. Christopher Hall. Dr. Hall, again, Nobel Prize nominated doctor. COVID, we're talking about different things, but today we have a great guest, don't we, Dr. Hall?
Wow, this is an exciting guest, in particular, a very exciting time. Really, as a nation, guess what? We need to come together all for one. So very exciting.
Awesome. So introduce our guest.
Well, no problem. Well, I'm very excited to introduce a Grammy award-winning vocalist, a lead singer of the group All for One, known for certain hits such as I Swear and I Can Love You Like That. I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Jaime Jones. Welcome to the show, Jaime.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey, Jaime, thanks for coming on. And so I guess starting out, the kind of question before is, how have you dealt with COVID and with different things we're talking about? You do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff so that you can keep working, but how difficult was that at first to now with, not being able to tour and stuff once it first came out?
Oh man, it was extremely difficult because 2020 was gonna be, so we've been, for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been on a tour called I Love the 90s with a lot of other really big rap and R&B and pop groups from the 90s. And then also we do a lot of touring on our own. So, for 2020, we had quite a few shows set up worldwide. We were going to be hitting Australia and New Zealand and London, as well as, I think we had 40 or 50 shows in the States. So we had a busy schedule. And it was just like, come March, everything started. First, it was postponing. Then it went from postponing to just straight out canceling. And the craziest part about it, though, was in February of 2020, we had quite a busy schedule that took us from Seattle to Hawaii, Hawaii to Shanghai, Shanghai to Beijing, Beijing to Tokyo, and then Tokyo to Florida. And, I just remember getting back home, and we started hearing about some of this stuff while we were in Japan, and we had just left China. So we're like, wait a minute, there's some weird stuff going on in China. We were just there. Like, is everything cool with us? And I just remember getting home, and I waited a couple weeks after I got home, and I called my doctors and like, hey, I just want to make sure I'm good. Like, my wife and I, we have no symptoms. And they were like, well, we don't know what to tell you. Like, we don't have a way of testing. Like, we have no clue. And it was just, like I said, from there, it was just downhill. Everything started canceling, postponing. And honestly, it's the longest break in our 28-year career that we've ever had of not performing.
Great. All right. So Dr. Hall, first question for Jaime.
Oh, this is so interesting. Well, Jaime, wow, 69 million plus records worldwide. And just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of like where you're from, how you got into music, and then how you guys came together as a group. Are these people you grew up with? Or tell us a little bit about that.
All right. Well, I'm originally born and raised in the Los Angeles, California area. You don't meet too many folks like me. Most people in Los Angeles are from somewhere else that transplants. But I'm born and raised. Actually, it's an hour north of Los Angeles. It's called the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster. So Tony and Alfred, now Tony's the white guy, Alfred's the Mexican guy, Delius is the other short black guy, I'm the tall black guy. And Tony and Alfred are also from the same area. And I met them in a talent show, and they had their own group and I had my own group. At the time, we were all pretty young. And after I heard them perform, I was like, these guys are incredible. Like, Alfred's a true bass and Tony has this high falsetto and just pure voice. So I got their phone numbers and said, hey, we should do some stuff together. And and so I called them not too long afterwards because one of the local radio stations, Hot 97, asked me to do some radio station jingles. And so I knew we needed some harmony. So I called these guys and said, hey, y'all want to do some radio station jingles with me? And so we did those radio station jingles, and, we liked singing together. And not too long after that, Tony and I entered a karaoke show, And that same radio station, Hot 97, was giving away $977 to the winner. And we were all completely broke. So I said to Tony, I'm like, yo, this is easy work. Let's go get this money, bro. So we go up to the fairgrounds where the karaoke show is. And as we're looking for what song we're going to sing, we hear this guy on stage with this big voice. And then I look over and he's on his knees and he's rolling around the ground. I'm like, nah, this little dude is not going to take our money. And so it was Delius. So I said to Tony, I said, listen, we're going to have to sing Ebony and Ivory, and we're going to have to take it to church. Not your church, but my church. We got to go crazy with it, because otherwise this little dude rolling around the stage is going to take our money. So we get out there, and I mean, we go for it. And that night we all tied. And fast forward a little more than that, you know, I was always very involved in my church. You know, I started singing in church when I was 3 years old. I started competing when I was 5 years old. And at that point, I think 17, I was involved in my church at least minimum 4 days a week. And during one of the choir rehearsals, this guy walks in, and I had never seen this guy before. And he starts asking around. He's like, hey, I'm looking for, you know, somebody they call Little Luther. I think his name is Jamie. And they're like, oh yeah, that's Jamie over there. So after choir rehearsal, he and I get to talking, and he's like, listen, I work for an independent record label. We're looking for a group, and we have this song. It's a song from the 60s called So Much in Love that we want to do we want to remake it. So I said, okay, well, I don't have a group, but I know every singer in this valley. So give me a couple of days and I'll put one together. And of course, I called Delius, I called Tony, I called Alfred, and we went to Six Flags Magic Mountain here in California. And literally, we walked around that theme park for 6 or 7 hours, singing everywhere. I mean, in the parking lot, on the train, on the train from the parking lot to the actual theme park, in every line, at every restaurant, in the bathrooms, because there was good reverb, you know, everywhere. We practiced. We got a audition for that record label, and they gave us contracts on the spot. And as they say, the rest is history.
And that's, again, a lot of stories, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Right? Broke completely, and then somehow opportunity comes.
Yes.
So would you say, were you the leader in a lot of ways to keep together for the certain amount of time, and how you guys still tour today? Do you feel that you're the one that kind of, because again, people go into singles, they decide different things, keeping groups together. What do you think that from when you were young to now, at this point, how did you help that process to keep it going?
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, you know, we are all very much, me and the guys are very much on one accord. I mean, we all kind of grew up very similar backgrounds, you know, military. Dillis was an Air Force brat, so he moved every 3 years. But, you know, me and Tony, our fathers were not moving every 3 years. They were stationed, and Alfred's brother. So the thing is, we have a lot of the same values as far as our religious beliefs, our family beliefs, our musical beliefs. So, you know, all of the decisions that we make them as a group. I am probably the one who is always the most, I probably am always out working the most to also bring other opportunities in, only because, you know, when I'm not doing All for One, I'm a music producer, and I have a production company called The Heavyweights, and I've worked with a lot of different artists. I mean, folks from Wayne Brady to Tupac, like I've worked with a lot of different artists, and even now I still do a lot of work for Disney, for Netflix, for Nickelodeon. So I do quite a bit of production. So with me being behind the scenes, I'm probably a little more connected in the music business than the rest of the guys, because I just eat, sleep, and breathe music 100% of the time.
Wow.
So but Delius is also, I say Delius and I are probably the ones who do the most, we're the ones who are always looking to advance the group. You know, Delius is also a hustler, and so he goes out and finds some good opportunities as well. And then of course we have a great manager, Hannah, and she does the majority of the work. So it's not like we're out there pounding the pavement, but you know, being artists, sometimes things just land on our laps and we just say, hey, Hannah, can you check this out? But most of the opportunities that come for us come from her.
And would you say but you're definitely the leader, kind of keeping things together? What is your take? Who would you say?
I think we all have our roles. So I wouldn't just say there's one leader. Like they call me Deacon Jones in the group, because like I'm like a step away probably from being the pastor of the group, and but we all kind of have our roles, and we all, I think, play them well. So it's not a thing of I'm the leader or he's the leader. I mean, we make every decision together. Everything is all for one. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Hall, next question.
I mean, it's just such a wonderful group. And I mean, Jamie's so multi-talented. He's a producer. Now, did you say you worked with Tupac in the past?
Yes, I've done Tupac. Well, I did Tupac Remixes, which is a little different. I was actually on one of the first albums after he passed away. The album's called Until the End of Time. And me and my production group, we did a couple of remixes.
So you're talking now, all these other production big wig places. So how did you move up the ladder in that way of production? You did different musicians, but now you talk about working with Disney, all these things. How did that happen? Like, how do you get those opportunities?
Well, for me, you know what? So every artist, once they kind of make it, says, oh, I'm going to be a songwriter and I'm going to be a producer and I'm going to be all of this. The thing is, I realized early on that in order for me to become a singer, I had to pay my dues. I started, like I said, doing talent shows at the age of 5. And basically every weekend of my life, until I finally got a record deal. I mean, I didn't even know what a bar mitzvah was, but I was singing at them. I sang at funerals. I sang at weddings, at pep rallies, at fashion shows, at talent shows. Like everywhere that I could hopefully be seen, I did that because I knew that if I could just continue to get out there, maybe somebody would discover me. And I realized that after I made it as an artist, my dream has always been to kind of be like the people I looked up to, Prince, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder. When you would look at the back of their album covers, it would say written, produced, arranged, composed, played. Like they did everything. And that was always my dream. And so with all the All for One records, I wrote half of all the All for One records.
Wow.
And I was always interested in songwriting, but I knew that if I wanted to be successful, I'm going to have to pay my dues. So what I used to do when we would be on the road and we're playing these arenas, when everybody else, when we would have a day off or just an evening off, was, going to, go watch a movie or go to a bar or whatever the case is, I had all my equipment at the bottom of the tour bus and I was setting it up in the tour bus. And when we would get to the hotel, I would set up in the hotel. And when we would get to the venue, I would set it up in our dressing room and I would come an hour or two before sound check just so I could work on music. And then once we got time off, I started taking trips to Nashville, working with Christian writers, country writers, gospel writers. Here in LA, I started working with rock writers, hip hop producers and writers. I work with everybody because I figured that there was something I could learn from all of them. And I knew I had to pay my dues. So that's kind of what I started doing. And then, one opportunity came. We did a song on a soundtrack, a kid's soundtrack called Stuart Little 2. And it was a song that was written by a Republican senator named Orrin Hatch. He wrote a lullaby. And me and my production team, we actually made a melody out of it. Because it was just a poem. So we actually made it a song and we produced it and it was great. And it was like, that was one of my first foots in the door. And I think that was around 98, maybe 2000. And from there, I just kept, honing in on my craft. And even when I was on the road with All for One, even to this day, I don't travel without a studio with me. Anytime I go somewhere, I always have a portable studio with me.
Wow, that's keeping busy. Yeah, you're getting the work and the extra. All right, go, Dr. Next question.
No, I'm just hearing so many things from Jamie. I'm hearing like, basically being prepared, organized. I mean, he has such foresight. And, it doesn't sound like he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth or anything. And there's so many young people out there who want to have the vision that he has. And, what would be your advice to these young people who want to get into entertainment and, and travel the world and give out a good message like yourself, Jamie. What would be your advice to these young people? What should they do?
Well, my advice is always this, and I talk to a lot of artists because I get a lot of young artists that I work with, that come to see me and come to my studio. And when they give me a few minutes of their time, I give them an earful. And my thing to them is always this. One thing about the music business is you will always hear the word no more than you'll hear your name, because music is such a relative thing, right? In music, there is no right and wrong. You can love country, and Neil, you could love rock. I could love hip hop. That doesn't make any of us wrong. It just makes us different. So you have to realize that in music, you're always going to be trying to cater towards someone's opinion, whether it's the opinions of your fans, the opinions of the record company, people who have to write the checks to, promote your music. It's always someone's opinion, and you got to have thick skin. That's A. B, the thing I say is everything in life that's worth having comes through hard work. And at some point in life, everything gets hard.
Yes.
But only the things you're the most passionate about are the things that you will stick with, so that when it does get hard, you won't quit, because it's your passion. It's what you live and breathe. So my thing is to all the kids, make sure this is your passion, because it will get hard. And when you make it, it doesn't get any easier. It gets harder. You're not sleeping, you're traveling all the time. And now with social media, you're always required to be your best in every situation. You're just not allowed to have regular human emotions. If you have a passing in your family and you're sad and you see fans and you're not nice, or you're just not as bubbly as they think you should be, they're going to go right and say you're not a nice person, instead of just giving you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you're just having a bad day, or maybe something is up in you. So I just like to make sure everybody knows that, listen, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of dedication.
Yes.
And once you get on, it doesn't get any easier. So you got to make sure that this is your passion and this is what you want to do. And you got to be willing to put the work in when nobody's watching. You'll be in the, I use a lot of basketball analogies, to be in the gym shooting when nobody's watching. Everybody sees the game. And everybody's got a comment about the game, but nobody has a comment about the practices and the time it takes to get and be the best. So that's kind of what I like to,
So Jamie, representing All for One right now, latest project for All for One, and then latest projects for you.
Okay. All right. So latest project for All for One. So we've been working on an EP. We started actually in 2020. And so we've got some amazing songs together. We're just trying to figure out when we're going to release them and put the finishing touches on them. So hopefully this year, we've been waiting because we want to make sure we have the opportunity to promote it properly. But because of COVID and everything going on, it's just kind of hard to do what we normally would do. So we're trying to figure that out. And then for me, I actually just released a solo single, and I did a remake of a song called Sunny, a song from the 50s, originally written by a guy named Bobby Hebb, but it was also made famous by folks like Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder. And so it's a really cool R&B vibe. It's different than what All for One does. So I just released that, and I'm actually going to be releasing an EP as well here soon. So that'll probably come out before All for One's project.
All right. And then the last thing is that we'll get to you, Dr. Hall. Summarize Jamie really quickly, and then we're going to find out where we can find the best info for him.
Oh, with no problem. I mean, Jamie, he represents dedication, passion, hard work. I don't think he's saying. I heard these things in my brain as a kid. Actually, I grew up in Los Angeles, and this is just incredible. And so I'm just very excited that during this time that he was able to bring the nation this wonderful message. So thanks a lot, Jeremy, for coming on the show.
Man, I appreciate you guys for having me.
Absolutely, Jamie. Best place to connect with you. Where can we go?
So social media, of course, for All for One, our pages are pretty simple. For Instagram, for Twitter, for Facebook, it's just all ALL, the number 4, ONE music. So All for One music. Or you can go to our website, which is all-4-one.com. And all of our stuff is there as well.
and I guess the last point, you bring up all that stuff, the last point with it is, Jaime, a message for your fans. What would you like to say to them?
Well, first off, I would just like to say, whether you're our fans or not, everybody be safe, be careful. This whole pandemic is changing quite a bit of things that used to be normal for all of us, and changing a lot of lives, and not so much for the better. So I'm praying for everyone, and praying that, we have great doctors like you, Dr. Hall, and other folks to continue to, help get us to a better place. But the other thing is, one thing I love about music is music provides an escape. Music it can be such a powerful tool to help you get through all kinds of situations in your life.
Yeah.
So whether it's our music or someone else's music, I would just want to encourage people to just find ways to just escape a little here and there, so that A, you can keep your sanity, but but B, it can help you feel good.
I love that. Great messages. Appreciate it. Jaime, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Christopher Hall Show.
Thank you, Jaime.
Hey, thank you both.
Take care. Thanks.
You will, y'all.
All right, guys. That was the Dr. Christopher Hall Show, guys. Take care.